Hello everybody, it's Kenneth from the archives here again with another video looking at our collections and Dundee's past. Today I'm going to be delving into the records of G.L. Wilson's department store and looking at Christmases past. G.L. Wilson's was one of Dundee's major department stores at a time when Dundee did have several department stores, famous names such as D.M. Brown, Draffins, Smith Brothers and so on. G.L. Wilson, however, is particularly interesting because it was famed for its Christmas displays, Christmas activities and Santa's grottos, and we'll be talking about some of them in the video today. Now, if you don't know, G.L. Wilson was located on the corner of Commercial Street and Murraygate. Indeed, the shop was popularly referred to as the Corner. And here we see it in 1949, decked out in Christmas decorations. The building is still there today if you want to go and see it, and hasn't actually changed that much, although obviously it's now not a big department store. The first thing I want to do though is look at some of the catalogues we've got in the G.L. Wilson collection, because they give us an idea about Christmas gifts, and you might say, well, some things haven't changed that much. In other things, when you look at these, things clearly have changed quite a lot. So we have examples of smart Christmas aprons from 1914, we have gifts for men and boys, I think dating from the 1930s, and we have Christmas books dating from 1932. Some nice Dundee things in here actually, because of course being Dundee, it would become famous for the annuals produced by D.C. Thomson's. Generally, that didn't start until later when we got things like the Beano and the Dandy at the end of the 30s and in the 1940s, but there were predecessors, as we can see here. So we've got the famous Hotspur book for boys, which was a D.C. Thomson's publication, and Billy and Bunny book, and this was an annual publication on two popular characters that appeared in the local press and can be seen as a bit of a forerunner of some of Dundee's later comic stars. So these are obviously a bit dated, but perhaps the most interesting thing you find in a Christmas entry for Wilson's catalogue is this one. So this comes from 1914, in other words, the first Christmas of the Great War. And you might think at a time of war, we'd be trying to keep children away from it, trying to get them focused on other things. But you can see clearly this wasn't the approach that was being taken. War is front and central in what's being advertised for children. Now, toy soldiers, as it says, painted in the colours of famous regiments, fair enough. Toy guns, yes, you might expect that. But it goes further. We've got toy war trumpets, we've got toy drums in a military style. But even toys of a different nature are being shaped to the war. So, for example, instead of talking about train sets or toy locomotives, we've got railway locomotives and trains that are for the transport of troops and supplies. Instead of having building bricks, we've got fortifications, bricks and wooden bricks of assorted sizes that can be used to build fort and ramparts. And it's very interesting, it shows just how deeply the war penetrated. Now, we don't have anything similar for later in the war, so we don't know if, as the realities of the Great War hit home, they did try and focus on different produce for children. But it is a very interesting thing to find. So as I mentioned earlier, G.L. Wilson was particularly noted for their Christmas grottos. And here we've got photographs from 1953, we've got Wee Willie Winkie, and we've got Goldilocks and the Three Bears. And nursery rhymes and fairy tales were obviously traditional subjects for displays and would entertain children. But of course, you can't have Christmas without Santa, and Santa was very much the star of G.L. Wilson's Christmas activities. Now here we can see Santa meeting some of his fans, many of whom have dressed up for the occasion. Now I strongly suspect this was taken outside the house of Garnet Wilson, who was a member of the firm and had also been Lord Provost of Dundee from 1914 to 1946, and who was knighted for his services to the city. And the reason I suspect it was taken outside his house is that it looks suspiciously like a Lord Provost lamp. So probably taken at his house on Perth Road. And this is where that year the Santa Parade set off from. They had a big Santa Parade. Here we can see it a bit further along Perth Road. Santa being pulled by a jeep, interestingly enough, rather than his reindeer. Reindeer probably weren't available that year. And we've also got this lovely miniature bus in front and various other things in the parade, including a lorry with Christmas trees. As you can see, it's attracting a little bit of attention. Well, that's a little bit of attention on the Perth Road. Wait till we get into the town, because outside GL Wilson's on the Murray Gate, we can absolutely see it heaving with people to see Santa. Santa, of course, very popular then, just as he is today. And indeed, one of GL Wilson's rivals, Smith Brothers, across the road, is being crowded out with people looking at the GL Wilson's Santa Parade. And we can also see in this other photograph the happy faces of people around the shop waiting expectantly for Santa to come. And they weren't disappointed, because here he is, and here are some of the first children to get to meet him that year, and we've got a lot of happy faces there. Now, of course, Santa moves with the times, and if we flash forward from 1949 to 1959, we can see Santa arriving at GL Wilson's Santa Club for Children, and he's coming in a rocket. Now, of course, 1959, we are right in the early stages of the space race. Is very topical, and Santa, of course, is up with the moment, and he's arriving, and we can see one of his elves there as he addresses the crowd. Of course, by the 1970s, the Dundee department stores were starting to go or being taken over by big brand names. GL Wilson itself closed in the 1970s, and so you didn't get these local department store Christmases much after that. But it's still a lovely piece of Dundee's history, and we're lucky to have the photographs, the catalogues, and so on. So thank you for watching this video. Stay safe, take care, and have a very happy Christmas.